Let me ask you something, and I'd like you to answer it honestly, quietly, just to yourself. If you sat down on this floor right now to reach something you dropped, to stretch your back, or to play with a grandchild, how sure are you that you could get back up? Without struggling, without that sharp catch in your knee, and without calling for someone to help you. If even picturing it makes you tense up a little, please stay with me. Because what you're about to learn could change how freely and how confidently you move for the rest of your life. This is Dorothy. She's 74. And until recently, Dorothy hadn't sat down on her own living room floor in almost 3 years. Not because she didn't want to, but because a quiet voice in the back of her mind kept asking the same question. What if I can't get back up? We'll come back to Dorothy, because by the end of this video, you're going to want to know what happened to her. Here's why this small movement matters so much more than most people realize. In 2012, researchers in Brazil published a study in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology. They asked more than 2,000 adults, aged 51 to 80, to do one simple thing: sit down on the floor and stand back up, using as little support as possible. Then they followed those people for about 6 years. What they found was striking. The people who needed the most help, a hand, a knee, a piece of furniture, were several times more likely to have died during those 6 years than the people who rose easily. In fact, every single point of improvement on that little test was linked to roughly a 21% lower risk of dying in that window. And this wasn't a fluke. In June of 2025, the same research group published a much larger follow-up. More than 4,000 adults, tracked for over 12 years. Harvard Health and the Washington Post both reported on it. The pattern held, and it was even clearer. Among those who could rise without any support, very few died over the following decade. Among those who struggled the most, the death rate was dramatically higher. Now, please, don't panic. I need to say this clearly, because it's the most important part. This test is not a sentence. It's a signal. It doesn't measure one disease. It measures your strength, your balance, your flexibility, and your coordination, all at once. And here is the hopeful truth that the fear-mongering videos leave out. Every one of those things can be improved, at almost any age. We're not guessing about that. A landmark 2019 review by Cochrane and the University of Sydney, the highest tier of medical evidence, found that the right kind of exercise, balance, and functional movement cut the rate of falls in older adults by about 24%. Add some gentle strength work, and that climbed to around 34%. And remember, at least 1 in 3 people over 65 falls every year. So, this is not a small thing. And before we go on, if you feel steady enough, try it yourself right now, near a sturdy chair. Then tell me in the comments, no hands, 1 hand, or not yet. I read every single one. So by the end of this video, you'll know 5 gentle techniques that physical therapists and doctors actually teach for getting up from the floor safely, without pain, even at 70, 80, or beyond. We'll count them down, from number 5 all the way to the single most important one. And that number 1 technique? It's the same one Dorothy learned. Stay with me, because it takes about 2 minutes a day, needs no equipment, and you can try it as early as tomorrow morning. Number 5. The hand press method. It looks almost too simple to matter, but the reasoning behind it is what makes it powerful. Here's the problem it solves. When you try to get up from the floor using only your legs, you load your knees, your hips, and your lower back, all at the same moment. For a lot of us after 70, that's exactly where the sharp pain lives. And so, that's the moment many people simply stop trying. The hand press method changes the math. By pressing down through your palms and bringing your arms and shoulders into the lift, you spread the work across your whole body, instead of dumping it onto your aching joints. Here's how to practice it. Sit on the floor with your knees bent and your feet flat. Lean gently to one side. Place both hands flat on the floor beside your hip. Fingers spread wide for stability. Now press down firmly through the heels of your palms. Feel your shoulders and arms wake up. As you press, lift your hips and slide one foot underneath you, planting it flat so you can push up through it. Then rise slowly, letting your hands stay involved the whole way. Do it slowly. Smooth and controlled beats fast every time. And always practice near a sturdy chair, a couch, or a wall. Something solid you can reach for if you need it. This is the one Dorothy started with. Small, safe, doable. And it's the doorway to everything that comes next. Number 4. The side sit transition. A favorite among physical therapists because it takes the twisting out of standing up. Think about what most people instinctively do. They sit cross-legged or with their legs wide and try to push straight up. That twists the knees and the hips, and twisting under load is exactly what an older joint doesn't want. The side sit transition removes that twist before it can ever happen. You roll your weight onto one hip and let both legs fold gently to the same side. A little like the way figures sit in old paintings. From there, your body is already aligned to rise safely. Here's how to practice it. Start seated, with your legs out in front of you. Slowly lean your weight onto your right hip, and let both knees bend and fall to the left, your shins resting on the floor. Plant your right hand flat beside your hip. Press through that hand, and use your left leg to come up onto your knees. Then bring your right foot forward, flat on the floor, like a giant step, and press up to standing, using your hand on your thigh or a nearby chair for balance. One important detail. Practice this on both sides, not just your stronger one. Both hips need equal mobility, and balance, by its very nature, is a two-sided thing. Breathe slowly throughout. Never hold your breath. And if you have significant hip arthritis, a recent hip surgery, or any balance concerns, please check with your doctor before trying it. Number 3. The furniture-assisted lift. And I want you to hear this clearly. Using furniture to help yourself up is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of intelligence. In the research, the most resilient older adults aren't the ones who stubbornly refuse all support. They're the ones who use support wisely. Leaning on a solid chair can take a large share of the load off your knees and hips, which means less pain and a much lower chance of losing your balance on the way up. So here's how to do it well. First, choose the right object. A sturdy wooden chair without wheels, a heavy, firm couch, a low, solid coffee table that won't slide. Avoid anything with wheels, anything that could tip, and anything glass or fragile. And if you've had a fall before, push the furniture against a wall first, so it can't move. When you're ready, come onto your hands and knees, facing the furniture. Place both hands firmly on the seat or the top. Bring one foot forward, flat, with your knee bent. Then press down through your hands and that front foot together and rise slowly to standing. Use as much support as you need. with no apology at all. Now, before we get to the last two, which are the most powerful, let me ask you something, and I'd really love your honest answer. How long has it been since you sat down on the floor? On purpose? A month? A year? Longer than you'd like to admit? Tell me in the comments below. I have a feeling a lot of you are about to realize you're not alone. And if these techniques have been helpful so far, a quick tap on the like button helps another senior find this video. Subscribe, and I'll have a gentle new health video waiting for you tomorrow. All right, number two. Now we're into the heavy hitters. The half-kneeling lunge rise. One of the most effective patterns there is for rebuilding real getting-up strength. Here's why it matters. After 70, almost everyone has quietly lost strength in the hip and the glute muscles. The big muscles in your seat that are supposed to power you up from low positions. The half-kneeling rise rebuilds exactly those muscles, while teaching your body the safest possible path from low to high. Here's how to practice it. Find a soft spot, a carpet, or a yoga mat, with a chair or a wall nearby. Kneel on both knees. Bring your right foot forward and plant it flat, knee bent at about 90 degrees, like a runner at the starting line. Rest your right hand on your right thigh, or place both hands on a chair for balance. Press down through your front foot and rise to standing, keeping your back tall and your middle gently braced. Then lower yourself back down, slowly, with control. Practice both sides. Alternate which knee is down. Aim for 5 to 8 slow repetitions per side, rest, and then repeat once more. Pair it with slow, steady breathing, rather than holding your breath. Slip a folded towel under the kneeling knee if the floor feels hard. And as always, recent knee surgery, severe arthritis, or any balance trouble means you check with your doctor first. Master this one, and standing up stops being something you brace for, and starts being something you simply do. And here it is. The technique I promised you at the very beginning. Number 1. The sit to kneel to stand sequence. Now, this one isn't a single trick. It's a complete sequence, and that's the genius of it. It takes you from sitting on the floor to kneeling to standing in 3 smooth steps, where each step sets up the next. Instead of asking your joints to do everything at once, you build momentum gradually. And that is exactly why it works. For people who were sure they'd lost the ability for good. Here's how the 3 steps flow together. Step 1. Sit to side. From sitting, roll your weight onto one hip and bring both legs around to the side, just like the side sit you learned in number 4. Step 2. Side to kneel. Press your hand into the floor, come up onto your hands and knees, and then rise so you're kneeling tall on both knees. Step 3. Kneel to stand. Bring one foot forward, flat on the floor, hands on your front thigh or a nearby chair. Press through that front foot, and stand up tall. The whole thing should feel like one flowing movement. Almost a slow, quiet dance, where each step melts into the next. Go slowly at first, and focus on the smoothness, not the speed. Keep a stable chair nearby, especially in the beginning. And breathe. Never rush. Never hold your breath. Practiced just a few minutes a day, a few days a week. This is the sequence that ties all 5 techniques together. For most healthy seniors, it's about the most useful 2 minutes you can give your body. So, let's come back to Dorothy. A few weeks after she started, with nothing more than the hand press then the side sit, building up to the full sequence. Dorothy sat down on her living room floor, the same floor she'd avoided for almost 3 years. And this time, when her great-granddaughter toddled over with a picture book, Dorothy got down onto the rug to read it with her, and got back up, on her own. She didn't need anyone. And that quiet voice that used to ask, "What if I can't get back up?" had gone quiet for a very different reason. Because now she knew that she could. That's the whole point of this. Your ability to get up from the floor isn't really about the floor. It's about independence. About staying the person who gets down to play, to garden, to reach the thing that rolled under the bed, and rises again under your own power. So here's your plan. Start with the hand press method tomorrow. Add the side set by the end of the week. Layer in the furniture-assisted lift and the half-kneeling rise over the next 2 weeks. And then, every day, practice the full sit to kneel to stand sequence, just a few minutes, and watch what changes over the next 6 weeks. And the next time you lower yourself to the floor and rise back up without a second thought, remember that, according to the research, you're not just standing up. You're showing that your body is built to keep going. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Of these 5, which one are you starting with tomorrow? Just drop the number, 1 through 5, in the comments. And if you've ever felt stuck down there yourself, or watched someone you love struggle through that moment, tell me about it below. Your story might be the exact thing another person needs to read today. And please, always talk with your own doctor before starting any new movement routine, especially after recent surgery, or with severe arthritis or balance concerns. Your safety comes first, always. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.